Hello and welcome to another leveling guide. Today we're looking at the Mage, and the Mage is definitely one of the more niche characters in the game right now, and there's a few reasons why, because I'm not very used to playing the Mage at all, especially leveling up, and yeah, I had some trouble leveling this character up for a few reasons. First, last time I leveled up this character, I had the Slormancer staff, I think it's called, and that staff granted me a lot of flat additional damage right off the bat. So I had like 44,000 damage to scale out of right off the bat in the beginning. And I don't have that right here in the video. It's just the normal staff, the Atom staff. So I am definitely at a disadvantage in this leveling process. I made a fair bit of mistakes. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So I will teach you how to not make the same mistakes that I did in this video and actually get some better progression than I would have done in my progression at least. So I will teach you everything that I actually learned throughout this leveling process. Okay, so the Mage is a bit different compared to the Knight and the Huntress. The first thing is you will notice that you can actually scale both raw damage, Reaper damage, and elemental damage on the Mage. He scales it very hybridly, so you would have pretty much a 50-50 amount of damage in both Reaper raw damage and elemental damage. So gaining elemental damage on gear is also going to boost your damage quite a lot, especially with some abilities which are completely pure elemental damage focused. And one of those is Arcane Breach. And I will talk about why that is a really great ability for leveling later on. So the start of Reaper that we are using in this video is going to be plenty fine for leveling up your character through level 1 to level 60 with ease, just because it levels up with you, and when it levels up it gains a flat amount of Reaper damage, which can scale to a significant amount later on. Another thing the Atom Staff provides is a bit of attack speed, and attack speed in this game is very powerful because it is a multiplicative modifier, as well as it is granting your abilities a quicker method of leveling up. Because in this game, the way you level up your skills is through using them in combat rather than killing stuff in combat. Okay, so attack speed is a bit more complicated than that. So if you have a cooldown of, let's say, 2 seconds, and you have 50% increased attack speed, you will actually halve your amount of cooldown time because it is a multiplicative modifier. And if you do that again with another 50% increased attack speed, you halve that cooldown once again, which you will then get down to half a second cooldown instead. So it can be very powerful to have a bunch of attack speed on gear, especially for some abilities in this game. So an important thing that you also have to keep in mind while leveling up is looking out for mana regeneration and life regeneration on gear. Especially mana regeneration for the Mage, because Mage is going to consume a lot of mana with some certain skills. Especially when you get your clones up and running, because they are absolutely going to eat all your mana in an instant. And I have a few tricks to actually mitigate that on the Arcane Missile, which is the one we're going to be using in this video. For attributes, I want you to pick up the Savagery nodes as well, even though you do get a bit of damage from elemental damage as well. But you still get a lot of value out of the 10% and the 15% Reaper multiplier at rank 5 and 10. And for the next points, I can recommend speccing into willpower or dexterity. It depends on what you want in this case. I would recommend doing a bit of willpower, like let's say rank 10, and then after that go up in dexterity, because dexterity grants you a lot of attack speed, as well as some projectile speed. It could get you some totem effect, which scales really well with your arcane clones, because they are considered totems. Okay, so when your Arcane Missile levels up to level 2, I want you to spend some few Slorm points into this one, the Arcane Funding. So this makes you able to not go below a certain amount of your maximum mana when you are casting Arcane Missile, and this pairs really well with the Arcanic Delegation. So Delegation is the Arcane clones that you can invest into, and they are basically going to be shooting for you, and it's going to be very nice. You also want to pick this one, the Remnant's Wingman. This one makes you able to cast 2 additional small Arcane Missiles that deal 50% less, but deals relatively a great amount of damage in the beginning of the game. And it's actually something you can keep throughout till Endgame, because it's actually the best option at level 2. The next one is going to be this one. The additional Arcane Missiles are now cast in a line and move toward target area. That means you can actually just, at least your clones can actually just focus fire with all 3 projectiles at a single target. That makes it very nice for single target, obviously. And then for endgame, we are going to pick up this one, the Arcane Sorrent. How do you say that? I'm not sure. But this makes you able to scale additional projectiles, but you only have 1 projectile when you go up in this one, and every additional projectile makes it deal significantly more damage. So if you have like 4 additional projectiles, you're going to be dealing 220 additional damage in percentage, which is a multiplicative modifier, and that is massive amount of damage. So at level 7 you unlock the Rift Nova, and for Rift Nova you are only going to be using it for utility. So the one thing that you can go up in the level 2 is Remnant Vulnerability. So it makes your Arcane Missile Remnants deal significantly more damage, which is going to boost your damage output quite a lot. So when you level up to level 10, you will get your Specialization, and I want you to pick Arcane Barrier, because that's where we can specialize into Arcane Clones. And here's one of my first mistakes. I thought that channeling the skill while in combat would grant it more like experience, but that's not the case. You can just one-tap it every once in a while, and that will do just fine, pretty much. So that was a big mistake on my hand. And yeah, just don't channel it, that's stupid. Okay, so in the beginning of Arcane Barrier, it's actually really underwhelming. Because the first one we can actually take is the Pain Catalyzer. So this one makes you able to get a bit of mana when you take damage. It's kinda underwhelming. This one right here though, Clone's Protection, is actually quite good if you have a bit of raw damage, because it means that your Arcane Clones have an infinite inner fire rotating around them that can actually deal a relatively good amount of damage. It's nothing too special, but it does something for you. The next one is going to be very underwhelming again, so I mean, you can pick whatever, it doesn't really matter. I actually don't like this one with the time locked in time mechanic, because it makes them freeze in time, and when they are frozen, it has to take the 3 seconds of time before they actually die, and that feels really awful. But let's get to the real meat right here. So Arcane Clone MK2 is very, very powerful, because this is a 30% attack speed multiplier that is insanely good for our character, especially when you go further down to the extra clones that we can spec into. But we have to get through this one as well. So mana protection, this is very nice. It's a quality of life mechanic right here, where you get a bit of armor through your max mana. Very nice to have. And then at V1 we get this one, Arcane Chieftain. This is where you get your first additional clone, and that is very good because that's pretty much double damage, and that's gonna carry you quite a lot. And then this one, oh boy, that is very good as well, because Turn the Tide, if you scale projectile damage reduction, you also get projectile damage, and that is pretty fucking good. So this one, you scale defense and you get offense at the same time. That is a very nice mechanic in this game. And then the last one is obviously the Arcane King, where you get another additional clone, so you can get up to 3 additional clones. I mean, 3 active clones, I mean. So that is 3 times as much damage, theoretically. And yeah, at some point your clones can actually attack faster than you can. So clones are pretty OP in this game. And they can scale to some insane numbers in this game. So when you defeat the Necromancer, you have unlocked a few of the Ancestral stones. And what I can recommend is going up in Seasoned Hunter, as well as the Elemental Boost right here in the beginning. Or you can say, I don't want to take Seasoned Hunter and actually go up in this ability right here, the Burning Trail. So this aura makes you leave behind a bit of fire on the ground that deals a pretty good amount of damage right off the bat. Like 66% of your elemental damage is dealt every second to enemies walking over the fire trail that you create. That is very good against melee enemies and just rocking through enemies as well. It's actually pretty strong. So I can highly recommend this one. And then when you get your third one, you can then maybe take the Seasoned Hunter as well. Okay, so here comes my second biggest mistake, and that is when you get to level 20, you unlock the Arcane Breach ability. And Arcane Breach is a sleeper skill that I didn't know about for leveling. So when you go up in that, you can have a really good amount of AoE to clear smaller packs of enemies very fast. And I just didn't think about that. And it's really good for endgame as well. So yeah, I will show you what you have to go up in. Okay, so for Arcane Breach, one note I want you to pick in the beginning is this one, the Violent Contact. So whenever Arcane Breach deals damage, for the first time it deals 300% increased damage. And this scales through your Ancestral Strike damage multiplier. And you by default have 300% Ancestral Strike multiplier. So this one is very, very powerful just right off the bat to just one-tap enemies in packs. And I didn't know about that, so I'm so dumb. I could have used this and actually have an easier time through leveling. And that annoys me quite a lot. But luckily for you, you can learn from my mistakes and actually pick this and actually have a blast. The next two like ranks, let's see, say 2 and 3, there's actually nothing good here, except for maybe the Arcane Flux. So Arcane Flux just grants you a bit of attack speed every time Arcane Breach hits the enemy, up to 25 stacks. That can be quite good, but the real meat on this ability for your Arcane clones is going to be this one. This one is absurd. So the Arcane Grounds makes your Arcane clones get 50% increased attack speed, and as I said before, attack speed is a multiplicative modifier, so this is pretty much twice as much attack speed theoretically for your clones. So they're gonna deal a lot more damage when you get this up to level 10. It is actually insane. If you followed along, it should have been pretty easy up till now, especially if you use the Arcane Breach, which I didn't do in these boss fights. It would have been even easier for me if I had the Arcane Breach up and running. But I didn't have that, as you can see. I had the Rift Nova equipped still, and I actually used it all the way to level, I think it was like 26, maybe even 30 or something, till I actually switched it out. And that was a big mistake on my hand. Okay, so when you defeat the twin boss at the end, you get another Ancestral Stone. And what I want you to go up in, maybe not right off the bat, but definitely at level 50 or something like that. I want you to go up in these nodes right here. And it's actually not because of this, or this. Whoops, this one. This is a bonus, like the Elemental Warrior, where you scale a bit of elemental damage through your life. It's actually kind of good, especially in the beginning as well. But the real meat is this one, the Obscure Obscure Retribution. So this one makes you able to reserve some of your life, and when you reserve your life, you can then go up in this node right here, the Savagery rank 45. So when I put on this aura with this amount of HP, quick reminder, you do not have that much HP right off the bat, but it will still be like around, if you have 4000 life, you will then get 1000 max raw damage. But for me, it's going to be 4.4 thousand. And that is going to carry you quite a lot in terms of raw damage for your Arcane Missile, as you can see right here. But for endgame, it's going to be Battlefield that you should be starting out with, and then transition over to the Slorm Temple and get it to floor 10, because that's where you unlock the Ultimatum of Infinite Wisdom. And Ultimatum of Infinite Wisdom makes you gain a set amount of increased experience gained, but you cannot like get increased experience from doing let's say Wrath 5 or something like that. But it's still really good in the beginning. And then after you've done that and maybe farmed a bit more Battlefield, I can highly recommend doing the Great Forge. And the Great Forge, I actually had an insane run that I'm going to showcase right here. And as you can see, my kill streak count is nuts. And with that setup I had there is kind of mediocre, but it did get the job done. And I was absolutely cruising through the waves that I encountered. It was really cool. That's my personal record, so see if you can beat that. Okay, so a few more things before I end the video is just a quick overview of my character. So let's take a look at my gear. A lot of these is kind of useless with the legendaries, and yeah, the amulet, just attack speed, crit chance, life, totem effect, get that on every piece, as well as getting some projectile damage reduction, so you can actually scale this node right here. As you can see right now, I have 26% increased damage from my projectile damage reduction. That is very powerful. Also take this one in the end game, so every time your clones hit with a crit hit on an enemy, they are then silenced, and then they can pretty much not do anything to you, and that is very powerful defensive wise. And for my other gear pieces, I went with this one so I could get more additional projectiles. I went pretty hard on this legendary to get as much additional projectiles. I also get additional percentage wise for projectiles. So I get like, I think it's, how many is it? I get 7.2 additional projectiles. That is going to be scaling this node right here. So I get a lot more multiplier out of that to do significantly more damage to enemies. Also, I've been scaling a lot of increased attack speed on this character because Arcane Missile plus attack speed with clones is pretty nuts. It is actually insane because they can shoot so freaking fast. You won't even believe it. So on rings, more totem effect, attack speed, get some crit if you can, more life. This legendary effect is kind of useless because you have to stand still for quite a long time to actually get the damage reduction, so this is completely useless. I just have it because why not? And then the other ring, my belt, as you can see here. Remember to scale a lot of totem effect, because totem effect is equal to increased damage, which is a multiplicative modifier. So if you have, like, let's say just like I have 256, that is 3.5 times more damage, so that's pretty crazy. So yeah, the rest of the gear. As for endgame, I'm using this one because I don't want to scale Arcane Breach area increase size, so I just get it from this ultimatum right here. There's some better options, definitely. For example, this one with the fork chance. So so you can actually make your ability clear a bit more fast. I should have gone into this, but I went with just a bit of, let's see, pierce chance here and there on gear, and that's been working quite well for me. And I also got this helmet, which is going to be 33% more damage multiplier. And for my rune setup, I went with the Nimble Warrior, simply because the Nimble Warrior is just, I don't know, I'm not sure what they thought when they implemented this rune into the game. It is just too good to pass on most builds. So yeah, on pretty much every build, if you're using your primary or secondary ability, this one is going to be the best option for you, without a doubt, 100% of the time. And the way I trigger it is through Ancestral Strike hits, and as you can see, it only takes 12 Ancestral Strike hits to actually trigger this ability, because I'm using this one, the Esterosis rune enchantment, and it's really good for this combination. And for the Reaper, I'm going to be using this one, and I can highly recommend this one for you guys if you want a very, very powerful character. Because this one is going to multiply your raw damage that you gain from reserving your life through these attributes right here. And it pretty much, like, I don't know how much of a multiplier it is, because the Reaper also says like your max raw damage is increased, and you have a raw damage multiplier, and then you can, like, on top of that, scale increased raw damage, which is also being considered a multiplicative modifier. So it's really, really insane with this big fury. And the last thing that it does is your skill damage are lucky. So even though you have a, let's say, 100 to, let's say, 50,000 max raw damage, you have a twice as much chance to actually hit with the high numbers, because your skill damage is lucky, because it rolls it twice. So that's insanely powerful. And let's see, maybe I should actually showcase just a tiny bit of my character. I can easily do Rev 10 already. Maybe, I mean, I've been working on this character for quite a while now, and it's doing insanely well. As you can see here, there's some pretty good numbers, and everything dies pretty much instantaneously. And the amount of attack speed is pretty nuts, as you can see. And you can double that. Maybe not double it, but you can definitely increase it quite a lot. Because I think there's a limit to the animation speed on your clones. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. If you followed along, I think it should be relatively easy to get to this point as well. It does take a while to farm up to this point. But yeah, I did use a lot of time as well. I didn't really know what I had to play on this character. I went with Ray of Obliteration to begin with, but that didn't really work out. So I went back to Arcane Missile, and it actually worked really well when you got enough damage out of it. So maybe this one can be good in some situations for, I don't know. It can shoot through proximity bubbles from the mages, or should I call them wizards, so it can be quite good. But Arcane Missile is honestly really good. It surprised me, that's what I'm trying to say. And I've done a few Wave 100 on Rev 10 on this character, so it's really, really powerful. But yeah, that's about it. Maybe there's a bonus clip, I'm not sure, let's see. Okay, so I think I finished my greatest run in the Great Forge, even though it is Rev 4. Simply because I had triple effect on Obelix And yeah, as you can see, I have 3 of them. The first one I got was equipment quality. The other one was equipment, not equipment, just quantity, war chest quantity. And the last one I got was just quality. And yeah, let's see how the quantity looks like. Oh god. Yeah, so I have a lot of everything quantity. Like, look at this. Look at this. It is going to be crazy. I even filtered out a lot of things for rare equipment, so I hope it's going to be insanely good. Like 1000 rarity multiplier and then watches quality. Holy guacamole, bro. It's going to be wild. But yeah, let's just jump into it. Oh god. Yep, that's pretty good. Let's take them all up already. If I can. I'm trying. Jesus. There we go. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh, that is so good. Oh man. And remember, these rares is something I actually filled out to, like, it's some modifiers that I wanted and also pure stat modifiers. Everything else is filled out. Jesus, dude. That's wild. Yeah, I'm also getting legendary of these slorms. Yep, that was pretty good. I'm not sure how many I got of these legendary slorm lines. I actually only think I got 1. Huh. That's very interesting. But yeah, this is crazy. Let's just take a look at all the legendaries. I actually needed this. I didn't have that. I didn't have this one, so that's very nice as well. I even got 2 of them. This one I didn't have. Ooh, I didn't have this one either. I did have this, but that's on another character, so this one is welcome as well. Let's see, what else do we have? We have this one. Oh, life leech. I mean, it's all right. Okay, nothing too crazy. Did I get the ring I wanted? This is my Marks in a Fire. In a Fire again. I think I have like 4 of these legendaries now. Mana multiplier, and we got one of these with the conversion. Still pretty good. Not what I wanted. Reduce damage, attack speed. Meow. Okay, I think that's about it. That's pretty fucking good. Especially for a Rev 4. Damn. I'm very satisfied with that. So yeah, that's about it.